so I made up my mind to go and do a comparative study and look, find the parallels and all that. And then I stumbled across those photos of the tattooed women. And it was at that point I changed my project, and I understood that here it was, my grandma. I had seen her every day in my life, every morning, every evening for 20 years and more. And I didn't have a clue that she was a victim of the genocide herself. She was right there in front of me. And the tattoos, of course, made it even worse, because I understood after studying the photos and the files that those who were tattooed had a very special fate. They were the ones who had to change their fate, who had to marry the people who abducted them. Usually they were raped several times, and they were bought by someone, and then they were selling them, further on to other people. So it was one of the worst cases. Suddenly I find the case of the tattooed woman. So of course it was a shock to see that here it was, this woman that I had hated all my life. Suddenly someone she was coming back with a revenge and telling me, look, you have to look into this. I have a story there. And that's what I did. I decided to, open up the case of the women, the story of the women that we had never told, not in our films, not in our books, not in our encyclopedias, nowhere. Because as I did the research, actually it was very, very rare to find anything about them. Not in oral history, not in written articles, not academic studies, nothing. There were none. And it was very frustrating to pinpoint what was really happening. And so in the end, the film became a journey in search of the truth, as you saw. Some people, I understand, think that this is very narrow. Someone was actually saying that, well, if you tell the story of the women, aren't you, minimizing the genocide, making it smaller? And I said, I'm making it bigger. Aren't the women, our women, the fate of the women is not worth to tell? And this is what I'm doing. I'm telling the story of the women. I think it's my obligation. It has been my obligation. I don't want to talk much. Whatever I wanted to say about this subject is in the film, about my feelings, how it was difficult for us in the family to talk about this. There was so silence. There was such a silence about this. Everybody was avoiding me. They were literally avoiding me. When I came, they were running away because they didn't want to talk to me. And in the end, I had to deal with this personally as well. I was almost depressed because there's something evil with rape. When it happens, as if it happens to someone else, someone in the family, you feel that it's happening to you, even after so many years. And I have talked to people. I would say under normal conditions, women who rape, they have the same issue. They don't talk about it. There's total silence from their side, and unfortunately from the family side, because the families decide, if we're silent about this, if we cover this, then it will just go away. But it will never go away. We've lived with this for 100 years. If we don't talk about it now, it will go on 100 years, still more. So I brought up this issue. We have to talk about this, and we have to talk about it openly, I guess. Yes, please.
In the film, the man who was showing you the mass graves, he said his grandmother.
Exactly, he was.
Now she was one of them, I guess.
Exactly.
Did you interview any people like that who didn't escape?
No. Exactly. My grandma, I don't know, she was, like I said, there are very few who managed. Quite many of them had to stay behind because many of these women had children and they could not make the choice. Do I go away and join my nation, or do I keep these children? It's a very tough choice to make. And it is not easy. I have cases where the women decided to come back, but the Armenian society refused to take them. They were you know, they were treated in such bad ways that they had to go back to their abductors because the abductor was better than the Armenians. So unfortunately, as the tattooed women, it was so obvious what had happened to them. Everybody understood. Like my grandmother's mother, my great-grandmother, she found her husband. And then when the husband found out how it was, she said, go back to your Islamic man. Go back, I don't want you. So they were in the streets again for, you know, they never came together. So many cases like that. Unfortunately, we didn't know. I guess the problem was that we didn't know how to treat these women. The only way we thought it was like, if we just push them out, we will clean ourselves. I have read articles from that period, in early 90s, early 20s. There are editorials where our elites, the political elites, are demanding that these girls should purify themselves. How do you do that? It wasn't their fault. How could you demand something like that? They had to purify themselves so that they would be worthy again of becoming Armenians. And we're talking about children who were abducted. We're not talking even about, you know, teenagers. Most of these were like in their 10s, 8, 12. And how can we put such a burden on their shoulders? It was it was, I don't know, I couldn't grasp that, to be honest. Yes?
This is a story, I agree with you, that has to be told not just to our community, but the entire world. What plans have you to take this to the larger society?
Well, this is a European film. It's a co-production of several European televisions, so they're going to screen that for sure. The film is just released, by the way. This is the 3rd week, not even that. So it's very, very new. It's going to be shown on different film festivals in Europe, all over the world. But at the same time, I have to say one thing that I'm very, very proud of, that this film is going to be broadcasted on Al Jazeera. I don't know if you know that. Al Jazeera English, Al Jazeera Arabic, Al Jazeera Kurdish, and Turkish. They have both the rights to broadcast it under 6 months. I think it's 4 or 5 times, in a program which is called Witness, and the program has 48 million viewers. So I'm really very, very happy for that.
Good.
Thank you. As to what happens here, I am not sure I have any clues because I don't have that connections in America, whether it's PBS or in other channels. So maybe you could do something about this. Lobby for it. Was it something incredible I said because everybody was laughing?
No, it's not a Jewish press.
Yeah, we have done research over 40 to 80 survivors. 90% were women, and we'll be happy to share some of the results, which is consistent with your finding that none of the survivors, actually 78%, had not talked about the genocide, and that was 74 years after the genocide. And some of them were very paranoid and were like, says, did the Turks send you? You're not going to talk about it until I gained their trust. And then they said that they never talked even to their children or grandchildren. So it's a common, really, reaction to a horrific event.
It is, and it's not just for Armenians. Actually, I have talked to other people as well. I've talked to German women who've been mass raped actually just after the Second World War by the Russian armies. I've talked to Norwegian women who had the same fate during the Second World War. I've talked to Cambodian women. I've talked to lots of women who had similar cases. The funny thing is that the women are ashamed for what happened to them, and the families are even more ashamed of what happened. And everybody wants to just, cover this deep down and fill it with earth so that don't talk about this. This is, it's irrelevant. But of course, it works for a while, and then it doesn't. It comes back. You were yes.
How do you propose families change their attitudes and represent this as being proud of their surviving relative being proud that she had the stamina, the will, the ingenuity to survive, even though it cost her things that she dealt with all her life.
Look, what if we think for a minute and remember what they were teaching us at school is something that makes me very angry today. They were always telling us, and the women decided to jump into the water and take their lives. Yes, some did. The majority did not. Life is very precious. You don't just kill yourself like that. Of course these women chose life to death. And that is so clear to me today. What you are saying is that it is time that we speak about this openly. This is actually, I think this is the first effort ever done about this, to talk about this publicly. And I say to each and one of us who's sitting here, each one of us I meet in Glendale, in Syria, whatever, all over the world, you are the offsprings of the same women who were prostituting. All of us, remember that. And I'm proud of that. There's nothing to be ashamed of that. These women were the ones who had, I said, to regenerate life. And I say life, I mean Armenian life. These were the ones who gave new children so that the Armenian nation would continue. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I think it's time to walk with high heads. Yes?
Ankogaram driver ajunden kujogo beku.
Ayo.
Burmaster adikadigin. Ay tkava master, tvoch there's very master.
There's very master.
There's very
Ayo.
rare.
Ayo. Marka Daishevjon. Do you understand the question? Where were the bones? I was trying to kind of burial ceremony. That was in their zone. Yes?
When your grandmother married, her mother and Lucia was with her, and how long they lived together?
You mean in captivity?
No, after 1920, after marriage.
Well, you see, when they came to the orphanage, the two girls were in the orphanage. Their mother was not. She was on the streets because her husband didn't want her back. And in the orphanage, someone came and said, you, Lucia, take that man, and you, Hanum, take that man, and you're married. Go ahead, make a life. So she had no choice. And I think it's, even if it was something good they did, because we needed to do that, but as a woman, if you look at it today, after so many years of captivity and slavery, and then suddenly she comes and someone decides that she has to live the rest of her life with someone that probably she didn't care. And that's how tragic it was, their lives, because they had really, it was so bad, their relationship, that actually my grandfather was living with another woman. He had moved out.
Why did you hate your grandmother so much, besides that she was withdrawn and besides that she was
Because she was cursing us all the time. She cursed me. She hated that we were women. She was saying, I said, I don't know what. She hated girls. And we didn't understand why. She was hitting us. She was, she was angry. She was angry with every woman on earth, I guess. And as I never got her affection, she was criticizing us all the time for everything and nothing. We had no affection towards her. We didn't like her. She didn't exist for us. She was just furniture in the house. That's how we treated her. I'm very sorry to say that, but that's how it was. That was the reality. She was so cold that she has never hugged my father. My father used to be in the same way. My father has never hugged me. So this thing has been going on from one generation to another. And I'm fortunate to have my mom, who is more, very physical, and but my father was a piece of, a cliff. I knew he loved us, but he could never show his emotions. He could never tolerate physical contact.
You had to work all day.
Yeah, maybe. Other questions or other thoughts? I don't know. Excuse me?
What happened to your grandmother's mother? Did your mother had seen her?
No, not really. We don't remember her, no. All I know that she was so proud that she used to go around, even in misery, and giving orders to everybody. And so she never understood that she wasn't a princess anymore. Yeah? Yes. My teacher there, I'm so proud.
I guess now things are different between you and your grandmother.
But she's dead.
Well, yes, I made this film for her. I mean, what more can I do?
Should be
you know?
dedicated to her.
Yes, this is for her, and I hope she, somewhere, she's
peace.
listening to this and she's happy with it.
Ճամպաները հանդիպեցակ թարջող հայեր են, այդ դաշկացած հայերուն հանդիպեցակ ճամպաներ են։
Urvor Yertair, wherever you went, actually, you could meet people who were half Armenian. Now, my problem was this. Are these half Armenians, half Kurds, half what? Well, I decided that they are all Armenians. I don't care.
Գնային գորսակ որ չեզ մենք հայ ենք այս դարձած ենք ավել գնային։
Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Is there a final question? Then thank you very much. Thank you, Suzanne.